One of the most interesting things I ever read on the nature of work on oneself is that however you come into the work, whatever it is that's motivating you to get involved, is the very thing that will work against you once you're in the work. It's a bitch, isn't it? So if you are crazy for knowledge, as indeed I was, and that drive is the very thing that will work against you once you're in there. And that's a difficult situation. Some people come in because they feel maybe some kind of devotional or emotional attraction. That's the very thing that will stop them actually moving on. In my case, it was really intellectual ambition, I guess. The desire to understand everything with my head. And I had a fairly hard time with all of that. Anyway, this is the way it is for most people. They come into the work with one set of characteristics. It's those very characteristics that surely and slowly over some period of time that have to die. What a strange thing. So, there's an interesting thing about all this work. You know you're getting somewhere when you're not achieving anything. And I'm not just saying that to be clever, it happens to be a truth. Because, let's talk about achievement for a moment. If you want to achieve something, then clearly you have some kind of an ambition. If you have ambition, well, ambitions are driven by desire. You're not going to go anywhere while you are full of desire, because desires are the very things that will keep you away from any kind of inner peace or contentment or ability just to sit with yourself. Because most people cannot even bear to spend an hour with themselves. They're just full of all kinds of agitations, all kinds of desires. Go and do some shopping, go and meet my friend, go and have a coffee, whatever it is. So these achievements or these desires are very, very varied. One person may have a desire for peace, and so they go off and learn meditation maybe. And will meditation bring peace? Well, yeah, while you're meditating, certainly. You can experience some very, very nice states. But within 10 to 15 minutes of coming out of it, as somebody's run a key down the side of your car, you probably won't be feeling all that peaceful. Some people are devotional. They want to somehow give themselves to some bigger entity. And I'm really not decrying these things. It's a very noble thing. But will they get there just by feeling that? Well, I don't think so. They might do, but we're back to desires. While you have the desire to do that, you're not going to get there. In fact, a very interesting book I've got, written by a guy who worked with Gurdjieff, and unfortunately I forget his name, but he wrote a book about Hermetic Christianity. Valentin someone or other, if you try and look it up. I'll do the proper research actually, and I'll put the name of the book down at the bottom. But anyway, he was writing about all the saints and so on and so forth. And there was a common theme that ran through all the undertakings and the accounts of what these saints had achieved. And they all say pretty much the same thing. Until the desires are subdued, there's really no point trying to do anything, even meditating. And of course, a lot of people, when they meditate, go into it with some kind of goal in view. They want to experience peace, or maybe they even want to experience samadhi or whatever. Are they going to experience that with some desire driving it? Absolutely not. It's the nature of the beast. The thing that drives us into these things is the very thing that will stop us actually achieving anything. And then you get people who read lots of books. I've certainly been guilty of that. And you go from Kabbalah to Zen to Buddhism to esoteric Christianity to Gnosticism to whatever. Books on chakras and books on meditation. And the next book is always the one that will do it. The next book is always the one that's got the key that you need to actually achieve something. And of course, as we just said, achievement is equal to ambition, and ambition is equal to desire. So, are you actually going to get anything when you're driven like that? No, you're not. And then you get all the kind of self-help stuff, making positive affirmations and visualizations and all that kind of thing, which is actually, I mean, if anything was the work of the Antichrist, it's all that stuff, because all they're doing is firing up desires so that people get into an even more frantic state. And then these people have to go down to the gym for 2 hours every day to try and burn it off. So I started with saying that what brings you into some kind of spiritual work or work on self is the very thing that will stop you. How on earth do you work against that tendency? Well, actually, of course, you cannot work against it. This is where you need outside help. And a few notes on finding some kind of teacher. And the word teacher is very, very sort of overrated. Most of the people who are involved in this have got their own battles going on, but maybe they just know a bit more than you. And if it's a real teacher, they will learn from you. It won't be they are the fountain of all knowledge and you are some dumbass. There will be some kind of learning on behalf of the teacher and hopefully some learning on behalf of the guy who's trying to learn from the teacher. But here's a few bits of advice. One is never, ever, ever, ever tolerate any kind of coercion or abusive behavior. Just never, ever accept it. If part of the school you're involved with means dancing crazily around the floor with everybody else, and you don't want to do it, then you need to feel okay about not doing it. If there's somebody there trying to make you feel bad because you're not joining in, just walk out. Tell them to go fuck themselves. So no form of coercion. A lot of people put Gurdjieff up on a pedestal. Gurdjieff ruined a lot of people's lives. If you've read the book by Fritz Peters, who was a small boy when he met Gurdjieff, and Gurdjieff was really the adult figure in his life. And as soon as Gurdjieff took him under his wing, Gurdjieff said, go out and mow that lawn in, I don't know, an hour or something, quite a large lawn. So he went out and cut the grass and eventually got it down to an hour. And then Gurdjieff would say, well, go and mow those 2 lawns in an hour. So this little kid, was getting all anxious. But he felt that by doing these things he was pleasing the one adult that he had in his life. And of course when he grew up he was totally fucked up. Multiple nervous breakdowns, all kinds of psychological problems. As I've mentioned more times than I care to remember in these podcasts, I knew someone who knew a Gurdjieff, and she said the worst thing you could do was to follow what he said, because very often he didn't know what he was talking about. Oh my God, have I really said that? Didn't know what he was talking about. Well, could it be that he was just a normal human being who got hold of some knowledge in some way and tried to construct some kind of system out of it for everybody to follow, and that throughout the whole of his life he was experimenting? I'm not trying to bring the man down. I'm just saying that he was not infallible. So, to go back to a teacher, do not ever, ever, ever work with a teacher that is in any way coercive. Do not work with someone who is basically filling you up with bullshit. You need to be emptied out, not filled up. So if someone is providing a way for you to see stuff within yourself, and by seeing it start to diffuse the intensity of it, then that's good work. But if you've got someone who's filling you up with all kinds of theories and you should do this and you should do that and whatever, again, just walk out. It's not the way it works. Unfortunately, the literature today is full of all kinds of heroic nonsense. This kind of work is not heroic. It's very, very gentle. It's very subtle. It's very light. If it's not gentle, subtle and light, and above all it's non-violent, if it's not those things, then basically just go and find somebody else. The main work really is to put everything that is going on within you under the spotlight of consciousness. And I've talked about self-observation. That's essentially the main way that you do that work. Unfortunately, it does involve some trips into what you might call hell. Jacob Boehm, the sort of Middle Ages Christian mystic, said, and he's right, that if you want to get to heaven, you have to travel through hell. What is hell? Hell is actually all the stuff within you that you are in denial of. And I'm aware that I put podcasts up that might be challenging for some people, and I'm probably going to stop doing it because it's probably not all that wise in retrospect. But you have to take that journey through all the things within you that have been repressed, and you have to take the journey through the world, the horrors and the delights, and in truth they're both the same thing. Anyway, the horrors and the delights, and you have to see it all, and that requires a lot of bravery and some preparation. So I think I'm sort of I'm kind of done with this one. The bottom line is, the point you need to get to is a point where when you work you are not achieving anything, and you're not achieving anything because you have no desire to achieve anything. What is there to achieve? Achievement and desire are just a sort of crust over what you are, which is essentially just calm, unadulterated being. So I think that's it.